Hey, so a couple years ago, I made a video talking about all the Saw characters that I thought deserved better, and I thought of more, so this is a sequel to that video. Wow, what an intriguing way to explain the premise of this video, right? So yeah, I don't know, it's about as simple as that. Let's just get to it. The first character that I want to talk about that I thought deserved better is this random guy, apparently named Donnie Greco, according to the wiki, and this is the guy that Amanda killed in her original reverse bear trap in the first Saw film. Now, first up, he is described as being her dead cellmate, and we don't really learn that much about him. I have a few questions about this though. So, did Amanda notice that he was like starting to wake up right before she plunged a scalpel into his body in order to get a key from out of him? I don't know, because there's this shot of her eyes widening right before she does it, and it cuts to her doing it, right? But is that like a, I can't believe I'm about to do this horrible thing? Or is that, he's awake, better be quick and kill him right now? I don't know, it doesn't exactly explain, and I've just been wondering about that a little bit. But my other question regarding this is, why did Jigsaw lie about him being dead? He was just pulling a little prank that day. He was feeling a little funny. He's like, I'm in my prank era. Let's just lie about this for no reason. But my biggest question, and the reason that he is on this list at all, is where was his chance? Did he get to fight for his life? It doesn't seem like it from what we're given anyway. Look, there is the theory that maybe he was in a previous Saw trap before Amanda's, and this is his punishment, basically, for failing the trap. But we're not told this. That's just something I'm trying to explain, you know, myself, with a theory. That's not something that the movie tells us or anything like that at all. So what we're told is basically that this poor guy is just killed and destined to die no matter what, pretty much. Look, maybe the chance he has is that Amanda won't do it. But that being said, if she does think he's dead, it's not really that much of a challenge. Like, I'm not saying it's easy. I don't want to cut into a dead body or anything. But it's like, you know, in comparison to all the other Saw traps, just cutting into a dead guy? Come on, that's kind of bullshit. That's pretty easy. But regardless of all that, maybe this guy is a bad guy and like deserves some form of punishment or something, right? That still doesn't justify just killing him out of nowhere. This guy, from what we've seen, got absolutely no fight, no chance at life. That's why he deserved better. That's why he's on the list. All right, next up is the Magnum Eye-hole guy, apparently named Gus Kolad in Saw 2. And this guy is basically on the list and was killed just because he's a bit of a dumbass. Basically, he woke up in this scary, unfamiliar place and wanted to start looking around, you know, find his surroundings, find his footing, try and figure out what's going on, where he is, and how to survive, get out of this situation, all that stuff. He looks through the eye hole and bam, dead. Before he even finds out what's going on, he's just dead. And look, the tape, I don't remember, I haven't watched Saw 2 in a while, but the tape probably says something like, don't fuck with the doors, you know? And fine, fair enough, I get it. Jigsaw has all these instructions that you're supposed to adhere to. But at this point, Jigsaw is not a public figure. They don't know who he is. They don't know these strict rules just yet. They don't know what's going on. The dude just wanted to look through the fucking eye hole to see where he was and what was going on. And that's a death warrant, apparently. So I kind of think that's bullshit. Especially because I figured that would be me in this situation. I just died before I even found out what's going on because I fucking just tried doing something. And bang, he's just dead. It's so dumb. Then there is Art Blank in Saw 4. This guy is here for being put into 2 Saw traps. And I don't understand the justification at all. So first up, he's in the opening mausoleum trap where he is pitted against this bald guy whose eyes are sewn shut. Art Blank's mouth is sewn shut, so they cannot communicate, and they basically kind of have to fight to the death unless they can communicate some sort of way of getting them both out alive or whatever. This doesn't happen, so Art is the victor, the other guy dies. But directly after that, he then like screams. He opens his mouth wide open and he like tears the stitches out of his mouth and screams. And it's like, dude, if you were gonna do that anyway, why the fuck didn't you do that before you killed the other guy? You could have done this from the start and explained things. It's bullshit. It's utter bullshit, but it doesn't matter because he won. He was the victor. He got out of the trap. And according to John Kramer, Jigsaw's, whole stance, he should be rehabilitated. And by the way, if he's not, isn't that on Jigsaw? I feel like if his kind of tests and traps do fail and the person doesn't learn their lesson, that's kind of on Jigsaw, right? That kind of proves his theory wrong, right? There's not many examples of that though because they all die. And so Jigsaw's just like, yep, I'm right. They were a bad person. They didn't deserve to live. They didn't have the will to live. Anyway, whatever. Doesn't matter. Regardless of all that, Art Blank did have the will to live. He got out of that trap. He survived. Only to be put in another trap at the end of Saw 4. Why? How is that fair? I don't understand. And look, maybe the movie explains it. I haven't watched these movies in a while, I admit. But come on, dude. I don't think anybody else has been put into 2 saw traps. The argument can be said that Amanda was in 2, but we all know that she was an apprentice and she was undercover in Saw 2, so that's not really the same thing at all. All right, next up is the characters named Matio and Valentina, who are the brain surgery and bone marrow trap victims in Saw X or Saw 10, whatever we're calling it. And the reason that they are here is because they are only given 3 minutes to do their monumentally impossible tasks. They are such bullshit tasks that they have to do. It's absolutely insanity what Jigsaw expects from them. You know, and I get it, there's like a certain sense of irony and like just desserts or whatever because they pretended to do surgery on him, so he makes them do surgery on themselves for real. But with the bone marrow trap, for one, like she has to basically cut her entire leg off from like the upper thigh, which is, you know, quite a thick part of the body, at least on me. And basically, there's no way you're going to survive that regardless, like after you've done it, but still being trapped in the room as the game continues. You're dead no matter what, basically. But not only does she have to cut it off, she then has to fuck around with the insides and get the bone marrow stuff out. And it's like, that is just such a fucking absurdly difficult thing to ask somebody to do. But then there is a brain surgery, literal brain surgery. Then Mateo has to do brain surgery on himself. That is absurd. That's an absurd thing to ask somebody to do, even in a Saw film, you know? I also kind of hate that, like, because this one is a prequel set between 1 and 2, it's like Jigsaw in Saw 2 throws somebody into like a thing with blades. But before that, apparently in Saw X, he's making people do brain surgery on themselves. And then in Jigsaw, which is also partly a prequel, there's lasers involved. It's like, what? I guess Jigsaw blew all his budget in the early ones, like in the Jigsaw Barn game. He blew his budget and he had to cut back in subsequent films. Anyway, I think that Mateo and Valentina deserved better because they deserved either more time or a less harsh task, because they are just such impossible asks, and it's utter bullshit, I would say. Especially given the fact that they pretty much do actually accomplish the traps. They do what they have to do, but they don't have quite enough of the bone marrow stuff or the brain, whatever the fuck he needed to get out of there. I don't know, it's a brain part. It doesn't matter what he needs to get part of his brain out, and he's just short. And they're both just short of the amount of stuff that they have to put onto the scale, and they're killed anyway. And it's like, come on, at that point, have they not been rehabilitated? You know, according to Jigsaw's logic anyway. They basically did it. They were just a little bit short. It's such bullshit. Next up is Aaron, Gina, Dave, and Josh, who are the characters in the carousel trap who are shot by the shotgun. These people had no chance to live. I don't like the traps where it's set out to be like, your life is in the hands of somebody else. That is not fair to any of the people there. They don't actually get to fight for their own life. The argument can be made that their chance at survival and the way that they can try to survive is by making their case as to why they're the ones that should be chosen to live, I suppose. But it's still in the hands of somebody else, and I just feel like that's really unfair. And regardless, 4 of 6 people are destined to die no matter what, you know? Not specifics as to which people are gonna die, but 4 of 6. The numbers are solid. 4 people are going to die right then and there. And it's like, that's not really a chance, you know, to fight for your own life, I feel like. Especially given, like, who knows, maybe William Eastston has some sort of bias as to why he chooses who he does and all this stuff. I especially feel sad for the character named Josh, who's the guy who says, "Look at me when you're killing me," or whatever he says, something like that.
When you're killing me, you look at me.
That dude makes that scene though, and I absolutely love that guy's acting in just that one scene. And I do also want to point out that I love the carousel trap. It's my favorite trap in Saw. I still find problems with it though. That being in particular that it's not exactly fair to the victims. But I understand Jigsaw is making a point. He's making a criticism of insurance and how it works. Again, it's like the ironic kind of thing, but it's like, I don't know. It's not really fair to the 4 people who died. Next up is William Eastston himself, the guy who makes the decision of who should live and die in the carousel trap and amongst various other traps throughout Saw 6. William Eastston is a guy who endures a lot. He hurts himself in various ways in order to save people. He makes decisions in order to save and kill people, and he goes through a lot. And basically, by the end, he learns his lesson and he shows remorse. But he still dies anyway, all because the fucking guy from Diary of a Wimpy Kid deems it so. And basically, this is Jigsaw just putting a man's life in the hands of an angsty teenager who lost his dad. Of course, he was going to make the decision to just kill William Easton. He's just like, he was always going to make that decision. So no matter what William Easton did, he was basically destined to die. And I just think it's a shame because he is one of the best protagonists of the Saw franchise. And I think after everything, he deserved to live. I think it's kind of bullshit that he's just killed anyway after everything. Then there is Stram. Peter Stram, I believe is his first name. Detective Peter Stram, who is basically just a cop going after a crazed serial killer in Mark Hoffman. And basically his punishment for that is death because you can't go after Mark Hoffman, you know? Which I approve of because Mark Hoffman's one of my favorite characters from the Saw franchise. And you can argue the fact that this wasn't really a jigsaw trap where they were trying to teach Stram some sort of moral lesson or to appreciate his life. This was really just about getting Stram, you know, dead because he was an issue for Mark Hoffman. So maybe this one doesn't exactly count. And I also do love how it all plays out. You know, Mark Hoffman basically sets up the glass coffin trap as being like, you know, his test or whatever, when really it's salvation from the room itself, which is the trap. And it's just kind of clever. I do really like that, like, subversion of expectations. But yeah, basically Stram is probably the most moral guy in the entire franchise. He absolutely does not deserve what happens to him. And yeah, he deserved better for that reason. But also, he doesn't deserve being framed for as well because Mark Hoffman then takes his dead hand and starts like planting Stram's fingerprints over like various criminal activities and whatnot. And it doesn't exactly hold out till the end of Saw 7 or anything, but some of the cops do think that Stram is the one who killed a bunch of people for a hot second there. Next up is various witnesses. Nobody specific, but these are all witnesses to kills or body discoveries throughout the Saw franchise. Now, most Saw traps are set out to be in a private area where nobody ever finds out, but occasionally Jigsaw has a little bit of fun and does things publicly or outside or whatnot. As is the case with the opening trap in Saw 7 with the two ex-boyfriends and the girlfriend hanging up, you know, the public trap where they're in basically like this glass case with a bunch of people, a bunch of onlookers. The public are all just watching. And look, you can feel sad for the people in the trap. I completely understand that. But I also feel sad for the witnesses. I feel sad for those people who are basically going to be traumatized for life after witnessing these horrible, violent acts take place, you know? That's not exactly a healthy, fun thing to do. It's going to be bad for them mentally, I would assume so, you know? Like, these people who see these horrible things happen, these horrible crimes take place, are going to be kind of fucked up. You know, there's also in Jigsaw, there's a jogger who's like jogging, running, whatever, and a bunch of other people in some sort of park area who like discover a body that is hanging from a bridge. So basically, I just feel bad for any various witnesses who do see or find a body or anything like that, because things like that are going to fuck you up, give you some sort of trauma. And I feel bad for those people. They deserve better because who are they? They're just the public people. It's not exactly fair, you know, for Jigsaw to out this bullshit into the world and disturb any random onlooker. Then next up is the train driver in Spiral. Somebody's driving the train who hits the cop at the start of Spiral, and I feel sad for that train driver because they're going to be fucked up for life. They're going to be blaming themselves. They're going to feel so damn bad. In fact, maybe they're going to feel so bad that like they start going through a really hard time, and maybe Jigsaw will be like, well, you're not appreciating your life, and they're going to be put into a sword trap. Possibly. Again, I do understand though that it's not Jigsaw doing the Spiral stuff. It's that other dude whose name I forgot, but who cares? Who cares? It doesn't even matter. Who cares about Spiral, you know? Even the Saw franchise itself, Lionsgate, Twisted Pictures, they're kind of sweeping Spiral under the rug. We're all pretending it didn't really happen. Next up is the character named Ryan from Jigsaw, who never actually got to get to his official test, but whose leg did fall through the floor as he was looking for the exit, and it gets trapped in like is it razor wire? I don't know. It's very tight wire. It ends up cutting his leg off anyway. That's the point. And arguably, he is also saving the lives of the people in the silo trap at the same time. So basically, Ryan is sort of going out of his way, trying to, you know, work as a team and save other people. He's trying to live. He has the will to live. He cuts his own leg off willingly, and he survives till the end, only to be killed because the woman who is opposed to him in the ending trap decides to try to kill him. Unbeknownst to her, the gun that she tries to shoot Ryan with is a reverse gun, and so she shoots shoots herself. But even though he basically wins this encounter, I would argue, he's left there to die in that room, slowly, painfully. In fact, the woman who does the wrong thing in trying to kill him gets the easier death. It's instant, it's quick, but he's left there to starve to death. How is that fair at all? He's not the one who decided to fuck up the whole thing at the end. I also do want to point out though the fact that at the end of that trap, Jigsaw is putting like the shotgun shell in the gun, and he says this shotgun shell is your key to survival, because the key is literally in the shell. It's so good. It's exactly like in Saw 2 when he says
He's in a safe place.
and he's in a safe. I love it. Yeah, but Ryan deserved better because he also shows remorse for why he's there as well. The next one is Captain Angie Garza, who is in the police station that Zeke Banks works at in Spiral, and basically she is the one who is put into the wax/spinal cord trap, where she is instructed to paralyze her entire body in order for this hot wax stuff to not melt her face off, basically. And I think that this one is very unfair and she deserved better because the rules are kind of vague, her instructions are kind of vague. It's like, how do you know you're going to get the exact right place in order to paralyze your spine? I feel like it's kind of just a very hard challenge in that way, because it's like you have to do it in this exact specific way, and if you don't do it, you have to endure even more pain. It's kind of bullshit in that way. Now, the argument can be made that the villain of Spiral is not trying to teach people lessons, he's just trying to kill corrupt cops. But still, it's a Saw trap that when you're in the moment, you're like, well, that's pretty unfair. She deserved better for being in this trap that's kind of bullshit. It's a very, very harsh punishment as well, having to paralyze herself. That is such a hard ask, you know? And look, I get it. I would rather be paralyzed but live than just die, but it's still, like, it's kind of bullshit, right? Like, other people in Saw traps have to what? Cut their fingers off, cut their arms off, whatever it is, which isn't easy or anything, but in comparison to that, they still have full functionality of their body, you know? This woman has to paralyze herself. It's kind of bullshit. There's also the fact that she's not given much time, and also the fact that my big question regarding this trap is also, how does the trap know if she has paralyzed herself or not? I get that there might be some sort of measurement set up so that it knows that, you know, the blade or whatever is in the person's body and then releases her, maybe, but I don't understand how, like, this machine trap thing, this contraption, is gonna know whether she's paralyzed or not. Yeah, it's just like, I don't really buy that. And the last character that I think deserved better is maybe controversial, but I would say it is Amanda herself, who, when we're introduced to her as a character, she is in a bad place. You know, there's not a lot of direction for her. She's addicted to drugs, she's whatnot, all these things. She's going through a tough time, right? And if she was actually faced with somebody who could, like, who was actually equipped to help her, she probably could have turned her life around. But instead, she is preyed upon by Jigsaw, who is basically this crazed serial killer cult leader who brings her into his crazy ways and gives her some form of purpose. Through her experience, he makes it so that she believes that this is important, that this is the way of life, that she has found some sort of rehabilitation, when in reality, it's basically a person who has preyed upon this weak person. That's how cults work. That is what happened here, where she believes that she's in this very important place now, but really her life has just become a whole lot worse and is basically turned into a serial killer crazy person herself and is triggered through her bloodlust now. You know, she probably never would have ever killed somebody before entering John Kramer's life, but by Saw 3, she's rigging traps and all these sorts of things and wants people to just die because they're bad. And there is an argument to be made that she has a sympathetic side. You see that in Gabriella in Saw X, where she feels a very strong form of sympathy for this person who's a drug addict and just in a bad place. She wants to help this character, and that's very intriguing. But I also feel like she has this iron fist of vengeance. But the thing about Amanda is that she wouldn't be wrapped up in all this bullshit if she wasn't first preyed upon by this crazy person to begin with. And that's all that I gotta say for now. So if you have more examples of characters that you think deserve better, maybe check out my previous video also going through that, because I might have already mentioned it there. But if not, you know, tell me who else you think should be on these sorts of lists, and who knows, maybe I'll make a part 3 eventually if I can think of enough characters. And yeah, that's about all I have to say for now. Before we go, please do the things which are like, comment, share, subscribe, all that shit. I'm outie. Goodbye.